Well, the first camp was a youth camp when it first started for years. Rick Park started it.
With Ann Hatcher, I think.
With Ann Hatcher.
Yeah, we didn't even go the first year.
We didn't go the first year. We went the second year. And I won't say that was 82 when we went the second year. And then, because Rick Park was doing youth choir, so that was what was handling it for a long time. As time went on, and he gave up the youth choir, moved on. Then me and Ann ended up taking care of things and getting it all done. And eventually, I took care of all the scheduling and getting it all done for that. But I think 81 is when Rick went up there, and 82 is when we got to go the first time up there. Well, best of my memory, and I'm having to go by memory because I didn't keep up with that to start with.
I know for sure we went in 84. That was our 10-year wedding anniversary, and we were on Doyle Garrett's bus driving to church camp. I remember that.
Yep. That's when it's the first time I ever remember anything like that. Now, when we were young, we were teenagers before we got married. They took the youth off to a trip up somewhere, and we took tents and, of course, had a trip, spend the night, and then church come up the next day and had service. But I can't remember where that was at. That was back in the early 70s.
That was Lucy Hightower, wasn't it, that took us?
Yeah, Lucy was our
That was
teacher.
So Yellow Creek. She was the.
But that's the only time I remember anything
class
being done until we got started on this other regular routine. And then eventually it grew into the point that that took the whole church.
Yeah.
Went. Because, well, for one thing, there just wasn't many places you could go and do anything that was set up like that where you would have, because they had the dining hall there, they could feed you and do all that stuff, and it was, in comparison, it's dirt cheap. It got more expensive as time went on, but part of that is because of number of people going, and things just got to costing more as time went on. That's one of the reasons they shut the operation down. They was losing close to $1 million a year there, so they was in the hole several years. Which didn't matter. I mean, it was a non-profit organization that was operating the thing. Well, it had got old and people wasn't going with it, and the COVID just, it was part of the icing on the cake. It would have finished it off anyhow, because it came in the next year after they stopped.
It was a great facility, and it allowed everybody to be together. You know, and we did, when the whole church would go, everybody did everything together. Like we had services in the morning and services in the afternoon, and then preaching services at night. And it really was a good fellowship and team building within the church, I think. And a couple of years we went, and other churches were also up there. I remember one year Harmony Grove from Forsyth County.
And that was in 84. We had 4 churches. You remember the dining hall? We filled it full.
Yeah, it was completely full. We had a night service there.
We had that many churches up there, and it was Doyle Garrett was the pastor. He knew every one of the people. At
Harmony
Grove, Salem, Pleasant Grove, over there, plus us.
Yeah.
That was 4 churches. There may have been another one, but I'm not sure. But I mean, I know Salem and Harmony Grove had over 100 people up there apiece. Yeah. So there was a big crowd of us.
Do you remember the elderly pastor's name that was so hesitant about coming? Oh, what was his name? He was not sure about going off to church.
Yeah,
it wasn't one of our pastors. It was one of the other churches. But he just wasn't sure about going off up there and doing that. He just wasn't sure about all that. And so, you know, some of the rest of them, I think, convinced him or whatever. And I remember him telling Nick, he said, well, I found out when I got up here that the Lord was already here. So we had a great service that night with all those churches.
It was good, because we knew a lot of those people that was in them other churches.
Was it Holbrook? I can't
don't know, I
remember.
can't
But
remember.
anyway, that was
I was around him. That's the only time that I remember being around
It's a
him.
cool story that I remember. And that was the thing, because there were so few distractions. There was not television. It was before cell phones were such a big thing, and so everybody's mind was drawn into what you were there for.
Yeah, they had air conditioning. Some of them wasn't as good.
Some of them didn't work as well as others, but yeah.
What it done is when you get people and you put them close together, and they spend time like that day in and day out, it makes a difference onto it, because like I say, if somebody's lost, they can't run and hide. Yeah. They're in amongst it. They're going to stay there onto it, and it's a constant thing. And you get people there, as the saying goes, one mind and one accord. You're up there doing that, everybody gets in one mind and one accord, then the things start happening. It starts coming together onto that. One thing I didn't mention, when they first started, they went up on Thursday, come back on Saturday. So that was the way it was all done, so it didn't interfere with regular church. So we started having the whole church go. We went up on Friday, had church up there because everybody was already up there.
Right.
We started doing some of that too later in the latter part of it, before we started building the new building up there. We call it the new building, and it's been there now for almost 20 years. We've been in that building. Not quite, but it was. We quit going to move the funds to get that building built, because it got to where it was costing at that time. It was about $10,000, $10,000 a year to go for that number of people going. So that was money that could be moved into building on
the church
building
finished.
onto it. So
That church is a big part of our lives too. I think having the kids were little. Our kids were little at that time, and it was so nice to be able to go. And when they were very little, we would take that one that was the smallest with us and leave the others with grandparents. And I can remember, somebody would come and get the baby, whoever the baby was, and they'd be gone with them, and be gone for an hour or two, which was unheard of, because normally I would have been freaking out, where's my baby? But I could trust everybody there. They were family, and so I didn't worry about it. When she got hungry, they'd bring her back to me. But that was special. And then as our kids grew up, they couldn't wait to turn 13 so they could go as a part of the camp, and not have to stay in the room with mom and daddy. So it was almost like a rite of passage. Every kid couldn't wait to get to be 13 so they could go, and stay in the room with the other kids. So that was a good memory.
The reason for the 13, that was a price change.
Yeah, the Georgia Baptist
The ones under
Assembly set that
13, it was
number.
like high price, and they dropped down a little bit lower, and it was nothing. The ones under 4 and 5, 6, there was no charge for them. But the ones that was under 13, they was staying in the room with their parents. It was a big major discount price onto it, so that's why the 13 age was set up onto it.
Yeah.
What about you? Did you have a special memories that?
Oh, there's a lot of special memories up there at that place.
There were lots of pranks. There were lots of pranks, and it was a good, fun time for the kids. We won't name names, or maybe he will, I don't know, but we spent several nights in the hallway because, the adults would be spread out wherever. We usually had a floor that was all for us. And we'd have the girls' rooms were on one end of the hall, and the boys' rooms were on the other end of the hall, and our room was somewhere in the middle. And there were lots of nights that one or the other of us would be in the hall all night long, just to make sure nothing unforeseen happened. And there were instances of, people tying this door handle to the one across the hall so that neither one of those people could get out of their rooms. And, there were lots of fun, just lots of fun.
Had to watch out for things like that, because that was a danger thing that nobody thought about.
Yeah.
But I guess one of the instances onto it that I can remember is when it was before the church started going, it was still just a youth onto it. And some were getting a little older. They woke me up one night. I heard something, a door slam. One of the doors slammed. I got up, figured out what was going on, so I snuck around to the rooms, listening. So I finally started hearing some of them talking. And I got in one of the girls' room, I could hear them talking. I could hear them come up the door. So the way the doors opened, like this right here, inside the room, I was standing on this side. So they actually had to stick their head plumb out the door and look around to see me. And so I stood right there. So when they got their head out the door and turned around and looked at me, they were 6 inches from me.
The door suddenly closed again.
Didn't have no more problems the rest of the night.
Lots of toilet paper was packed and brought, and but the assembly always complimented us that when we left, they never had to clean up, because we were very insistent that everybody clean up and police behind themselves. And we took off all of our trash and all that kind of stuff. So we were always welcomed at the Georgia Baptist Assembly, and they always complimented us on what good care we took of everything, and so the church had a good reputation there. Yes, one year we got bumped from the assembly.
Somehow or other, it got the schedule.
They overbooked, and they ended up having a group of handicapped people come in that had to have more rooms. And so our whole group got bumped, and Camp Toccoa was available, and so we took it. And those concrete little bunker cabins had bunk beds, one window up high, no air conditioning, and there was bathhouses. And
that old bathhouse is up there was the only bath facility.
And when the church came up on that Saturday night, did they come up on Saturday night for supper? Pretty sure they did.
Friday night.
Excuse me?
Friday night. We went up on Thursday and come back on Saturday.
Okay, anyway, the church came up that night. And I'll never forget, Ben Underwood said that when they came through Toccoa, it was 104 on the bank thermometer. It was the hottest church camp we were ever at, because there was no air conditioning.
The dining hall didn't have air conditioning.
We about died.
All it had was a big fan in the end of it, and you had to turn it off to have service.
Yeah, because it was so loud you couldn't hear.
You couldn't hear. You couldn't hear the people singing. It was that loud.
But it was still good. And there we cooked our own meals like y'all did when you were staying at Camp Toccoa. But lots of fun memories. And I don't think we kept a record of how many people were actually saved there, but there were several. And one year we had a baptizing up there, because Bethany was baptized at church camp in the swimming area. Because, we used to go down and have sunrise service at the amphitheater down next to the lake. And we had a baptizing down there one time when we were there. So that was pretty cool.
Church camp is a great thing to do. But what everybody needs to remember when they go to church camp, they're going to church camp. Everything else goes. You forget about what's going on outside in the world. And then you get to see what the Lord can do at that point in time. That's what makes the difference onto it. It's just like a revival service. When everybody gets together, things click and things go the way it's supposed to go. Church camp is kind of the same way onto it. I like a big crowd going to church camp. Sometimes I like just a smaller crowd, because you don't have so many different things going on and stuff like that. But I was operated out from the other end. Less people you have, less work you have. Either way, it's still there.
There was a lot of work to it, but we don't regret a minute of that.
No.
We were paid very, very well by the blessings God gave us for doing it. Right.
You know enough of it. And one of the things we tried to schedule for the youth to go before they got going was try to go the week before revival.
So the kids were tuned up.
They were tuned up.
They were ready for revival.
Revival come, it made a difference. So if somebody wants to plan a scheduling, that's the best time to plan a scheduling. Especially if you got a group that's going, your whole church is going like that. But if you got a youth group going, the weekend before revival, weekend or two, or either like we got revival this weekend, either last weekend or the weekend before, have it close. Then they can you can see a difference when revival comes, because Lord, everybody's still in gear, doing what they're supposed to be doing. We've had several people, seen several people that we hadn't met. We've seen several people saved there, right. And we've seen a couple of people now call us to preach there.
Yeah. And there were people that were not coming to the church a lot. Their family did. And because church camp invited the whole family, and there was a room for the whole family to stay in, there were people who came to church camp, and then after that, they became active members of the church because it made a difference in their lives.
Now, speaking of preachers, different churches, that's how we met.
Oh, yeah.
That same pastor at both churches.
Marvin Bearden was
Marvin
pastor
Bearden
in both
was
churches, and Chestatee was second and fourth, Yellow Creek was first and third, and so, you know, he would come and visit at Yellow Creek, and that's how we met.
That's sweet.
It is sweet.
What we've done, there's a lot of people gives us credit for a lot of things. We've done nothing to try to follow the Lord, and that's what it boils down to. In 1973, about this time of year, 73, the Lord told me I need to join the work that I was supposed to go do. I didn't know what it was, but that's where I went to join, which he joined about 6 or 8 weeks later.
We've been going for a long time, but
for a while. We were already dating a lot at that point in time. We were members up there, but the Lord just worked it into the right direction onto it.
Yellow Creek will always be a very special place to us. We met there, we married there, all of our children were saved there. You know, those friendships are lifetime. It's a very special place.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it's all about.
37 years of our life
Yeah.
at Yellow Creek.
Yeah, when I first started going there, the church wasn't bricked at Yellow Creek. The old church wasn't bricked. They did that after I came there.
That part reinforced it a little bit, help it.
Yeah.
A little bit. Yeah, they
And they had gas heat along the side walls.
Yeah.
At that time, when we first started going there in 68 or 9.
Yeah, no air conditioning. Rolling up the windows.
Yeah, I remember the pictures of the windows that opened
Propped
before the
open.
stained glass was there.
Yeah, that's what that stained glass in there. But,
You're telling me you guys were married before they put the fire loft in there, right?
Yes. Yes. Daddy got up in conference and asked for them to wait to start the choir loft because I was getting married in August. And if it would be okay, that he would prefer that they wait to start construction until after the wedding. So they allowed us to do that.
Yeah.
so we come up, have to be in the middle of construction during the wedding.
Yeah. It's a special place in our hearts.